Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work and create, the Kumbameri people of the Yungumbeh Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Welcome to A Nourished Woman, the podcast, hosted by me, Mikka. This podcast has evolved into a space for intimate, intentional, and at times unashamedly spicy conversations. Conversations we are craving. A Nourished Woman is all about moving beyond mere survival, embracing the full spectrum of what it means to be a woman, and embodying a nourishing, radiant, and pleasure-led way of living. In this episode, I am joined by the phenomenal Stevie Nupier. Stevie is a mentor for mothers whose deepest desire is for us all to wholeheartedly love who we are as women, partners, and mothers. Her purpose is to inspire you to take empowered responsibility for the quality of your life and your experience of motherhood, to support you in taking exceptional care of yourself, to remember your true essence, actualise your potential, and awaken the modern matriarch within. She is also a creative director and was the talent behind the lens for my latest photoshoot. She is building her dream life in Bali with her 2 daughters and loving husband, Joel. During our chat, we dive into Stevie being in her legacy era, what feminine leadership really is, her heart-led community Mothering Me, what it takes to be cycle breakers, revolutionising our relationships, cultivating a lasting connection with her husband, how the quality of our sex lives impacts our overall lives, how important it is to take care of our men's hearts as much as our own, and my personal favourite, when mum is coming, the household is humming. I just know you will love this conversation just as much as I did. I always start my conversations with the same question. And I think being a woman and being a human, it's really important to acknowledge the season of life that we're in. And so I'd love to kick off with you describing the season of life that you're currently in.
The season of life I am in. Oof. You know what I am calling this season? It's Legacy League season for me. I'm like, Legacy League season. Game on, baby. Like, this is... I live in Bali. We moved at the beginning of the year, and it's been a dream in the making for 4 years. And where we are at in this time of my life, I couldn't have even, it's better than beyond my dreams. I couldn't have even imagined what has unfolded and what I'm currently living. So the opportunities that have, again, presented themselves to us, the pathways that have opened up for us to go all in on this one life that we have. And everything I do it's always yes for me, but it is always more so for my babies. So we're living the dream. We're showing our children what is truly possible, and we're really setting ourselves and our children up for the future in so many ways. So I've titled this, I've even made a playlist for this. I love to do that. If I am any new chapter I'm moving into, any new frequency I want to start to really embody as a way of being, I will create a playlist for. So I have a Legacy League season playlist, if you want to put it in the show notes. But I'm really feeling it for myself.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about your playlists. I love them. Well, I love the Matriarch Mind one anyway, and I'll definitely link that one here because we're going to talk about all of that. Okay. I love that though, because that's that attunement piece, it's attuning to the frequency, the things that we're calling in and wanting for ourselves, and music's such a powerful anchor for that, I think. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I want to know a little bit more about Bali. You said that it had been something on your radar for the last 4 years, but what do you think was the major sort of catalyst? And I want to know about the move and like what ultimately led you there.
Okay, so I've been married to my beautiful husband now for almost 10 years. We have two beautiful daughters, young babies, and we moved over here in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, and then we got sent straight back because of what was happening on in the world at that time. And we were devastated. We had like been working up to that move for like 3 to 6 months. We'd gotten all our ducks in a row. We were good. We were set. And then, obviously the world did what it did. And so we had to come, we had to come back home, back to Australia. And so that was 2020. We're now in 2024. Last year, Joel and I came back to Bali. We are big, huge lovers of this land. We are constantly drawn back here. Like we've been here over 10 to 15 times easily throughout our like relationship. And it was last trip in October where I was here once again, and I just couldn't deny it anymore how much we needed to be here. Like I said, these are the words that I use specifically. I'm so done with doing this dance of indecision. Like I literally just said to my husband, we need to move here. Like I can't deny what it does for our family unit as a whole. I can feel it. You can sense it as the mother. Like intuitively, you are so attuned to your man, your babies, and all of us thrive here. And so I said to him, we need to be here. Every time we leave Bali and go back to Australia, I never want to leave. We always end up extending our trip. And it's just like, how many more times does your body have to communicate to you that this is the thing, this is the choice? And I've always known in my bones that this is my soul home, and Joel too. But again, life happens, and we just, 4 years later, we were like, well, the dream has never left us for a reason. Like, we need to give it a go. Like, let's at least try. And my dad passed away last year, which was a huge catalyst and eye-opener for me to be so humbled and blessed with the lesson of life is precious. Like, you are not promised tomorrow. Why are we not living for today? Like, why are we not doing the thing we said we always wanted to do? And so that was it. Like, I've got chills because when you've experienced death and you've been touched by death, you're changed. Like, you're forever changed. You can't. Like I said, I'm the type of person also that very much mobilizes. I lead. I'm very much an active like participant in my own life. Like, I'm not one to just let like an idea like just die or a dream die. Like, I act upon my desires. I've always been that way. I guess I don't know if it's the Aries nature in me. And so again, even more so after last year with my dad passing, I was like, right, like we have one life to live, let's live it. And so we made a plan, and I had snapped my Achilles as well. A lot of things happened last year. Snapped my Achilles, and so I needed to rehab my Achilles. I needed to get my scooter license, and so we set a plan again. Like about 4 years later, 4 months, we gave ourselves to get back here, and so by April this year we were back. And again, once you decide, it's that saying like, don't be surprised how quickly the universe moves with you, right? And like once you take that first step, the pathway will reveal itself. It truly will, but so many of us are afraid to just take that first step because it is such an unknown. Like, you are navigating uncharted territory. There is a lot of at risk, right? There is the fear of failure. But again, it's like one life to live. I'm going all in on this, and I want to see what I'm made of as well. Like, I have that innate drive in me to find out what I am capable of in this lifetime. So yeah, we leapt and we are not looking back. Like, it honestly is the best decision we ever made, but I knew it would be because in my heart of hearts and in my soul, this is the right choice for my family. And as a woman and as a mother of your home, you're only ever going to know that with conviction if you truly know yourself, if you're connected to your body, right? If you you are trained in listening to your intuition and acting upon it. So that is why not only do we have this dream, we now live this dream, but I receive this dream every single day, which makes it even more sweeter, which is why I love the work that you do about being a well-nourished woman and being in the pleasure of what it means to be a woman. And that, to me, it's all about receptivity. There's no point in having a dream or having a life if you can't let it in, like if you can't receive it. And so that's what I'm most proud of, is like, I'm here. And again, that's legacy work to me. Like, I'm raising daughters. I want them to receive their life, to be in their life, to like take pleasure in what it means to be them and be alive. Like, they're watching me do that every single day.
Amen. I was going to ask you, the next question I wanted to ask you was, I think going off what you said, it's something that's quite innate to you, but that isn't always the case, you know, for every woman out there. And you spoke about, you know, having that self-trust and, you know, self-love and having that connection to your body. Would you say there's anything else that, or how even have you particularly cultivated that within yourself so that you can make life-changing decisions like this? Because I think, you know, we always, what's the saying? It's something about like regretting the things that you don't do, not the things you do. But sometimes it can, you know, we can just get completely overridden with fear and we might have a desire but not act on it. So yeah, I'd love to know what you think. It's aside from that innate, those innate qualities that you have, like what else do you think you've done to help cultivate that self-trust and that connection with your body and all of that so that you can make these decisions?
100% mother myself, which is what I'm all about. I really had to learn to create a felt sense of safety in my body. I lived in my head the majority of my life. I was terrified to actually live in my body. And I didn't realize that for a long time until I started really unraveling some key pieces for me, especially around sexual abuse as a child. And obviously a lot of inner child work that naturally will come up if you're willing to look and go there. And so self-mothering to me is I created the ability to know how to hold myself, create that felt sense of safety, nurture my needs, and get to know myself on a really intimate level in that way only you can, by being in conversation with yourself in a beautiful, loving, compassionate, caring way. And so that's been a journey for me. And that only really began, again, when I fell pregnant and decided I actually wanted to be a mum because for a long time I didn't want to be a mum. Like, I had 2 abortions after marriage because I was adamant that I'm not made to be a mum. It's not for me, purely because I had a core belief that I wouldn't be a good one, especially to daughters, because I didn't believe I was a good person. So it's like, you got to, again, like if you pull out one thread, the path it will lead you down, it's like you can't anticipate. And so I really learned, like, when I became pregnant, again, I wasn't calling it self-mothering at that time. I was just trying to be the best person I could be and trying to heal all the things before the babies came. Lol. You know, like, okay, I got to do all the work now because when the babies come, then I want to be this whole perfect, like, again, like, it's just all, I laugh at myself and I show myself so much love because it's like, then the kids come and they whoop your ass. But yeah, I really was taken on a journey of understanding how to mother myself so that I could be the mother that I wanted to be for my babies and that they deserved. And so I guess, like I said, coming back to creating a felt sense of safety in the body. And that is such an incremental process. Like, that isn't like, I woke up and now I'm this like beautiful, embodied, sexual, liberated being. Like, that is a journey that took me years of incremental choices every single day because I came back to my why. What was my commitment? So yeah, there's many things that I did along that journey, and many modalities that I worked with, like mentors that I enlisted for support, and again, like truly transformational work. But I guess essentially that all falls really under the umbrella of what it is that I'm really passionate about speaking to mothers, which is mothering yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Gosh, I can relate to so much of that. I think becoming a mother for me would have 100% been the catalyst to just understanding myself better, why I do the things I do, make the decisions I make, understanding all of that so that I can, exactly, like not change myself, but just understand myself better.
Yes.
So that I know what I need and like what I want, and and I can move in that direction. So I think so many people can relate to that as well. Like becoming a mother, oh my God, is an initiation of epic proportions. And then it continues to be that way with like multiple children, different ages, all the different challenges. I don't think it ever stops.
No.
I want to talk about mothering me now because you've kind of you've opened the doors for us talking about mothering yourself and that self-nurturance. So what moved you to start this community, which has really just grown into something really special? So I'd love for you to talk about how you started it, what moved you to start it, and what you're most proud of about it.
I guess what moved me initially was just empowering mothers to take better care of themselves, to start prioritizing their needs. And yeah, I was just really passionate about a mother's quality of life and their experience of motherhood. Like I really was like, it doesn't, like I've, obviously observe a lot. And I just felt like there was another way. Like I really wanted to raise the standard in the way in which we conduct ourselves, we parent ourselves, and just enjoy the quality of our life, the quality of our motherhood. And I always felt that again starts with us. So for me, I started with, well, in order to be the mother that you want to be for your children, you've got to be that mother for yourself. Like you said, you have to know yourself on a deeper level. You have to know how to hold yourself in order to meet your children in those moments, cultivate that capacity to hold that safe space for your babies. You got to, that starts with practicing on yourself first to be able to do it authentically. And so that little seed was planted, I guess with the birth of my first daughter. And then it really started to like come into like crystallize and come into form with the birth of my second child. And then with the community piece, like I am Polynesian, like my heritage is Western Samoan. So to be in community, to have a village, like they always say, it takes a village to raise a child. Like that, to me, that's ingrained in my DNA, that way of living. And so I've always valued community. I've always valued culture. And so it only made sense for me to nurture that aspect of what it is we're doing as a collective, and how healing it is to do this together. Like I don't believe that we are meant to, again, like we're not meant to do this alone. And so naturally I am one to, I want to take care of other people. Like I naturally am, I feel of service in that way, through, watching my parents, watching my grandma, who was the woman that everyone went to in the village, like to seek counsel. Like she was the orator of her village. I gratefully hold her name as my middle name. So it's like, again, like it's an ancestral thing. And so, And naturally, I guess, like in my previous like lines of work, like I know how to mobilize a movement. Like I know how to I know how to lead, again, Aries coming through others in that. Like I find that naturally, like it's a natural ability that I have. And so, yeah, creating this space and calling women into it, it's, again, unfolded in the most miraculous ways. And not only are we here to mother ourselves, but we are cultivating this beautiful community of women that you feel mothered by. And so, again, it's like raising this standard of the way in which we take care of ourselves and each other, like as women, as mothers. And honestly, like I just had, again, another woman. So a part of the membership like that I run, we have members only retreats. And I just had another woman last night literally say, I'm going to pay for this person's spot. Like every retreat, we have gifted spots every single time. Like we have an ecosystem of reciprocity where we actually say, like, are who we say we are. And it's well over 20 grand now. Like this beautiful ecosystem where we nourish and support one another financially, because my goodness, like there, like, again, life is lifing for all of us, but to have a place where you can come to and put your hand up and really, again, like claim your worthiness in receiving and asking for help, that is healing in itself. Like there's so many little like pockets of healing going on in connections and opportunities and things that are unfolding organically in this space that is just, it will do way more than what I can like even like I can see or measure. Like that impact, again, that's a ripple effect. That's generational healing.
Absolutely. You know, I actually had an experience with this. I want to just sort of go into the receiving thing because this has been something really big for me this year. My year kicked off with one of my absolute favorite people in the whole world, one of my oldest friends. We've been talking about wanting to do like a Vedic meditation initiation for like a couple of years now, and had just never gotten around to it. And, you know, she basically sent me a voice note and was like, I'm booking this thing, we're going, I'm paying, we're doing it, you know, because I was like, oh, it just sort of felt like a bit of a stretch for me. And I was sort of like, you know, finances need to go elsewhere. I'll put that on the back burner for now. And yeah, she reached out and she was like, right, we're going, I'm doing it. I don't want to hear anything about it. And oh my God, the discomfort I felt like everywhere in my body was intense. And then when I finally was like, hang on a minute, what would it be like for you to just like really receive this? Like, and I just felt everything relax. Like it's okay for you to receive. Like you don't have to constantly be giving. Like that's one element that's really important in life, is to be of service, but also you can receive some of that for yourself. And that unlocked, so much. That transferred into so many different areas of my life in terms of just, what is it? It's like flexing the muscle, you know. It's like building this capacity to receive life in all areas, you know, across the board. And that really opened up so much for me this year. So I really love that you touched on that, because that is so important. I think that stands in the way. Like when I think about when I was a mum, like a younger mum, and had, you know, one or two little ones at home, and like I feel like we isolate and self-insulate so much because, yes, it's the asking for help, but it's actually allowing ourselves to receive. It's really hard. I think we're conditioned not to do that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We've only ever had the modeling of martyrdom, struggle, isolation, suffering in silence, right? So it is so foreign for us to actually open ourselves up and allow ourselves to receive like help, support, love. It's love. It's like, and that's why I'm really passionate about women understanding this so they can let more love in, right? Let love in, let life in, let it in. And it's so uncomfortable. It's so foreign. It's so like, oh my goodness, way beyond edges. But little by little, again, with that, your beautiful friend who did that for you, what she just unlocked, right? And it's the same that goes on within the community. It's like these tiny little choices or these tiny little, oh my gosh, moments of magic that unlock a whole new paradigm, a whole new way of being, relating, like a whole new realm of possibility for you that you didn't know actually existed, was actually possible. So yeah, that, I love that. Like hearing that, I'm like, ooh, like lights me up. It's beautiful. It's so liberating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how it's been, for sure. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. And I mean, inside Mothering Me, I'm assuming like I'm sure there's a lot of like women who've been in there maybe since the beginning, but presumably, when people are donating to this, this, I can't remember what you called it,
Ecosystem
but,
of
essentially
reciprocity.
this like reciprocity fund, they're doing it for strangers essentially, right? They're not necessarily people that they see every day or have had really close relationships with. And I mean, even that in itself is so powerful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We've had literally like women organize whole days of like nurturance and treatments from like on the other side of the country, like for other women they've never met before. It's something that has to be experienced to be believed. Like you actually have to have the lived experience to be like, oh my goodness, like wow, that exists, like that's possible for me. It's life-changing.
I think it actually, and another thing it highlights as well is the way we think about community, the way we think about the village, because more often than not these days we're not, they're not right here in our suburb, like it used to be. You were just in this little hub. It's not really like that as much. I mean, so many of my friends live interstate, or, my absolute best friend in the world lived overseas for a decade. Like, I think it changes the way we think about community. It doesn't necessarily have to be the people we see day in, day out, and I think that's really important as well. Definitely.
Yeah, that's why we call it the modern day virtual village. And it's the way we're evolving, it's the way of the times. Like what a beautiful, like I honestly have made the most beautiful connections online through like Instagram. Again, I know it gets a bad rap, but again, us, like I wouldn't have made this connection without Instagram, like without being online. In the virtual space. And oh my goodness, the beauty that it gives my life. So again, it's like just changing your perception or like what you thought was possible when it comes to finding community, when it comes to actual soul connections.
Yeah, because also I think online or in spaces like Mothering Me, or if you make a connection with someone through Instagram, it's generally because you have shared values or a shared vision or something, similar. So it can be tricky to make those authentic connections. Generally, there's something there that maybe you wouldn't necessarily have with like a school mum or,
exactly,
someone that you see really often. Yeah. So I've spoken about this with you a little bit, but there's so much synergy between your work and what a Nourished Woman represents. This reclamation of like the innate wisdom we have, like the intelligence in our body, our appetite for life, cultivating the capacity for more joy and play and guilt-free pleasure. And I remember there was a story you posted where you said something that you were really fired up about was supporting women who find themselves living a lackluster life that is okay or not too bad, whose days feel aimless and monotonous, void of magic and miracles, who experience boredom, dissatisfaction and contempt more often than they'd like to admit in their relationships, who struggle to access their power, who've forgotten that you get to reimagine or recreate your life over and over again. Like as I read that,
I wrote this.
I'm
getting fired up by my
you did. I
remember this post. I remember it well.
Yeah.
Oh, I was fired up.
And although I feel like for me, I'm in a different place now. Like at one time, this was me, and so I'm certain that there are going to be women listening who can resonate with all of that. So I want to start talking about Matriarch Mind, and I'm excited because this could get a little bit juicier now.
Oh, yeah.
And this is your signature offering designed to revolutionize relationships. So I want you to tell us about Matriarch Mind. You've described it as the ultimate heart work.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to know more about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, again, the Matriarch Mind was literally birthed through me in like a 48-hour period of time. Like I remember the night specifically, I literally stayed up all night and just like had this like stream of consciousness coming through me around what this needed to be. And it literally, what, like, again, my dad's passing was a catalyst for this work. Because my dad, he was the fittest, physically well-looking 6-year-old you've ever seen. And while I won't say how he passed, it was so shocking to me. On a physical level, it made no sense, but on an energetic and emotional level, it made them so much sense. And so much of that experience, it shook me awake and made me realize, made me put a mirror to myself and made me realize how much I wasn't. I know this is it's really hard for me to make this make sense without going into the whole story, but essentially his death was a catalyst again for this work. And I call it heart work because I really had to look at the ways in which my heart was so closed off. Like I had so much armor around my heart in relationship to my own man. And for me, I believe that was so much of the reasoning why my dad passed, like on a spiritual, energetic, emotional level, like why he was harboring so much pain in his heart. And I never looked at my man the same way again. And I really took responsibility for all the stories, all the ways in which I had put walls up between him and I. Like I love my husband but there was still this disconnect. There was still these walls. There was still this armor around my heart. I couldn't really see him. Like I could not see him for who he truly was. And so I default into, assuming the worst. I default into the nitpicking, like all of that wounded feminine, like that comes through like a relationship. Controlling, all of the things. Like I was so humbled and looked at all the ways in which that was playing out in my own life, in my own relationship. And I decided to take responsibility for that and made sure that the changes that needed to happen happened. And so that took me on a journey. Then came to, it's literally a year, last year, August, I launched first round of Matriarch, my eighth Lionsgate portal, which my dad's a Leo as well. So it's like, there's so many little like extra bits of synchronicity and potency to this. But I've realized so much and everything changed when I started to really take responsibility for myself and the way in which I was showing up in my relationship. And so often we can point the fingers. So often it's so easy to blame, right? It's so easy to make it somebody, like it's a you problem, not me. But okay, we really have to get honest with ourselves, ladies. How much of what is stopping us from like actually living the life it is we say we want and receiving what it is we say we want is if that's on us. Like that is our job to look at and decide to clean up. And so I'm really passionate about empowering women to be brave enough to sit and look at things we need to take responsibility for on our side of the street when it comes to our relationship, and actually leading ourselves and empowering ourselves and watching how that literally can revolutionize and transform a relationship simply through doing so, right? And so, yeah, within this container, we talk about sex and intimacy, we talk about leadership and guardianship, we talk about communication and conditioning, we talk about energetics and dynamics. And so, yeah, it's a potent space for women to come in and share things they more than likely have never shared or spoken out loud before, even with their closest friends, and get so deeply honest about what is actually going on behind closed doors, and get so deeply honest about the dysfunctional patterns of behavior that play out inside of ourselves. And there's so much shame as well. Like it's such a tender, sensitive topic. There's so much shame piled on top. It's like you got to be willing to do this work, and it is the deepest heart work, because guess what it does? It liberates your heart. It, like those walls start to come down, your cracks so wide open, and everything changes from there. Like again, you're able to let love in. You're able to see so much more clearly, like see the soul of your person, and again, like bask in the pleasure of what you already have. Like, because again, it's like, oh, we always think the grass is greener on the other side. It's actually not. Like it's bloody not. And so it's like, do you realize, like, you don't even, like, it's, again, it's like being able to actually strip that all away and truly see like what you are living, what you already have. And oh my goodness, I have such a soft spot in my heart again for men who feel so deeply misunderstood and unappreciated and unseen. Like that to me is what caused my dad's death, like if I'm to be real. And so again, it like that is something that I can't not see anymore. That is something I can't not feel. And so I see a lot of relationships where men are in, and again, it's like both parties have to decide to take responsibility for their stuff. But what I'm getting at is like helping women to really see their person, helping women to like remove those walls and open themselves up to really letting love in, to relaxing into what they already have and like letting it be enough and enjoying, like taking pleasure in that. And it's like, oh my gosh, like it's already right in front of me. I just couldn't let it in. Like it was not getting anywhere. Like I couldn't let it touch me. Like I couldn't. Yeah. So
yeah.
I feel like I answered
And
that
also,
in a very, like, I don't know.
no, that was perfect. But I want to just go into what you were saying. There's a few things, but the first thing I'd love to sort of go a little bit deeper on is when we do the work of de-armoring our heart and seeing our man and experiencing, like you said, the soul of who they are, I feel like that then calls them up. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Like you said, there's so many men who are in relationship probably feeling misunderstood, don't quite know like their place in the dynamic. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's this, we could have this particular conversation, I feel like, for an hour. But what I imagine and what I've experienced myself is when you do that work and you see the person and like because for me, it was a case of him, you know, I've been with my husband for nearly 20 years. We've been together since we were so young and grown up together and obviously been through like, you know, a gazillion different seasons and ebbs and flows, which naturally is going to happen. And it took him saying to me, like, don't you think it's about time you trusted me? Or, you know, you let me, like, I've got this. You don't need to worry about this, this, and this so much. And, you know, it took that, him saying that to me being like, oh, yeah, like I don't actually have to do everything and be everything for everyone, you know? And then to actually like move from that place and to then see how that affected him and then his stepping up and his leadership, you know, to grow from stride to stride as well. I'm sure you've obviously experienced that as well within your own relationship. And that's part of the work, right? Is like letting them lead.
100%. Like they, it is their innate role and primal like desire to lead, to provide, to protect. And so often we want to control, we want to micromanage, again, because we don't feel safe, we don't trust. But that's on us to do. Like, that's on us to cultivate that felt sense of safety, to start to build trust, to open up our hearts. And so when we do that, we are tipping like the dynamic and the energetics out of balance and into disharmony. And we're also like diminishing our man's like spirit. Like, oh my goodness. So like we're diminishing their spirit. We are taking them out of their purpose and their beauty. And it just, yeah, it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. And we've got to cultivate again, like the receptivity to be able to really trust that our man has got us, and to let him lead, and not go into those conditioned imprints and dysfunctional patterns of taking over, right? Because we don't trust, and all we can do about it. It's like, no wonder why they just give up and stop leading. No wonder why, like, it's like they don't want to put a foot wrong. They don't want to say, so they say nothing. I've experienced this in my relationship. Like, Joel like shuts down, says nothing, doesn't want to do the thing, because it's like, well, I'm going to get it wrong anyway, and it's not ever going to be enough anyway. So why should I even bother? Like, why should I even try? And then we're like, like we wonder like why we're dissatisfied, why like the energy is off, why there's no like chemistry or spark or fire. And so again, it's like understanding that, and also starting to relax into life, like relax into yourself, relax into your body, relax into your relationship. And that's, I guess, what the revolutionizing is. It's like actually relaxing into your relationship and letting yourself be held and letting yourself be led. And it's, again, it's coming, this is, again, the feminine work, right? It's our feminine, like we are most powerful. When we're like there's obviously two forms of leadership, but like, it's so beautiful when we can relax into and rest into like the frame of our man, but also know that, man, I'm in my womanly sovereign power. Like there's no insecurity around my ability to lead, or it's like, nah, I'm good. Like I'm so like, again, that's the matriarch to me. Like she's so like rested back in her womanly power. There's an allure about her. There's nothing to prove. Like she's just like magnetic and and like conducting energy in unseen ways. And this is what you've got to understand. It's like that saying of like, you don't need to be that barbed wire fence, like the boundary. It's like, do you understand your innate feminine power is to conduct energy in beautiful, subtle, unseen ways that will produce an epic result if you actually just rested into that and trusted yourself to like emanate and emit this frequency and your power. And we don't trust it. Like we feel like, again, this is when they're like, or I just got to say that thing or micromanage or control. And it's like, you can go about it in a whole different way that produces an even better outcome and an even better result. But that work is on you to like rest into that, embody that beautiful feminine power of yours.
Absolutely. And I think like we, because you hear stories of, and I know I've heard, I think Gabor Mate speak about this, like the analogy of having a dynamic with your man where essentially you end up mothering them.
Yeah.
And
it's the most
that can be
unsexy
kind
thing.
of the death of,
Oh
my God, right.
You know what's even worse? Like Joel says, don't coach, like he hates, I used to coach him a lot. And it's like, I'm so sorry I did that, babe.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I think we can, especially when we become mothers, I think, we can kind of just default to like, yeah, taking care of everyone, sorting everything, like it's as simple as little things like if we go out of the house, like the pajamas are on the bed, like the dinner's on the stove, like, at least this is how I used to be for sure. To be like, I need to cover all the bases so that I can actually leave the house, little things like that. But I think if we want partnership, if we want to be met in a real partnership, like we have to let them step up and we can't micromanage and we don't need another child, nor do we want one. And certainly no one wants to, fuck their, like someone who's they're basically having to, mother as well. Like that's not
Yeah.
it.
It's so not it. Yeah.
No, it's not it. Yeah, and I love because you do speak about this, like like acknowledging our individual roles and our individual strengths within our marriage and our
Yeah.
partnership, that like true feminine and masculine, and how like sacred that is.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about that particular thing?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to encourage you, like get to know yourself and get to know your man. Like I love to know, and again, I'm constantly learning about him, and I've never decided who he is. Right, the minute that they can never be more than who you have decided that they are, right? The story you tell about them. So just be open to not to and be curious about learning even more new layers and depths to them, even from just like different schools like of thought, like for example, human design, astrology. Like I love to learn, we love to do this for our kids, but like I love to learn about my man. He honestly, like, so he's a Gemini, right? And I'm an Aries. I understand, like, again, astrologically, how that dynamic works. Like, I value his ability to communicate. Oh my gosh, like, he's a brilliant communicator and I'm a brilliant mobilizer. And like, again, what has transpired in Bali, because we work to each other's strengths and we also trust our roles. I trust my ability to envision, right? I envision and Joel has executed. Like that is the role of the masculine. And you can play this out in yourself day to day in business, if you're a woman in business, but in relationship, like in men and like husband and wife, right? In our partnership, I will hold that vision and my man will get to work on creating the pathways, the logistics, executing. Oh, he's brilliant at it. And it's such a turn on when you're both seated in your positions of power in this way and there's a mutual respect. Right? Joel understands that, yes, while I might not be like picking up the phone and doing all of the logistics, I am literally holding the frequency. I'm holding the vision as the feminine in our relationship, right? As the woman with the bloody womb. Like I am like, there's a pulse that I'm keeping alive. And that is just as important as getting all the crossing the, what's it called, T's and dotting the I's. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Joel respects my role as the woman who envisions, and I respect his role as the man who executes. And when you can do that and merge like as one, oh my goodness, like again, it's the synergistic flow and the harmony that comes through as a result. And so I know I like went off into a little bit like tangent of like Joel's a Gemini, I'm an Aries, like he's a generator, I know these things about my man and I want to know about my man. I want to know these things about my man, not just for the benefit of teamwork and being able to, like, again, work really well together. It's because I want to know how to love him better. I want to know, like, how to care for him. Like, I actually want to do that. And you got to get honest with yourself in a relationship. Like, do you actually want to do that? Like, do you actually want to care for your person? Like, and if not, why? Like, actually get honest with yourself about, do you even want to care? Like, do you even want to make your person matter? Like, do you even want to go out of your way and to the extra effort to show them love? And because again, that is a very confronting question that like so many women who are bitter and resentful and they're just like, a big F you. But I want to do that, like for my man. I
Yeah,
want
I think
to
it's
go to
important to not
him. I
get to
want to
that point too,
meet
like
him.
to try and ensure that we don't get to that point of feeling really resentful, because it's hard to come back from
Yes.
there. It takes a lot more work.
And yeah, and again, the resentment and the bitterness, that they're all indicators for you to look at as to where
Mm,
you're not taking responsibility for having
mm,
your own needs met, living like a life that excites you, doing things you want to do. Like they're all
mm,
huge indicators to me, like that there is some responsibility to be taken for your own life and your own
mm,
desires and the way in which you're living. It's not actually, again, the easiest thing to do is finger point and say, well, he never does this and blah, blah. It's like,
mm,
no, but where are you not speaking? Like, where are you not actually communicating and honoring your own needs? Where are you not, taking ownership of how exciting your life is to you, of where in the direction it's heading in? And you know what I mean? Like, so it's,
mm,
for me, I'm like, you need to be, you being turned on by your own life and being turned on in general,
mm,
that's on you. Like, how turned on are you? Because it's like, I'm not really turned on, there's no sexual desire. It's like, well, how much of your own life turns you on? How much of being who
mm.
you are turns you on? Like your leadership, your integrity, like look at all these things. It's the best place to start. Like
Yes,
again, coming back to self. Like, man, I'm so turned
yes.
on by my life every friggin' day. And guess what
Mm,
happens? I have a beautiful, loving, like intimate, like sexually alive partnership because I'm
yeah,
like juiced up. I'm like, oof, man,
yeah,
I love what it means to be me. Like I love what it like my
yeah,
life.
yeah. And it makes a huge difference. And it just, it's again, it's that ripple effect, out into all the different areas of our life. I think sometimes too, we put so much, like, too much pressure on our intimate partner to be everything for us.
Yes.
But we actually need so much more than just that. It's very important, of course,
Yeah.
especially when you've got a family unit. But there's friendships. There's like, are you doing meaningful work? Do you have purpose? Are you taking care of yourself? Like, it's all of those things as well.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one thing that I teach inside of the matriarch mind, which is usually it's the most effective harmonizer in a relationship when there's like an imbalance or tension. It's like I come back to the woman and I ask like, what outlets and projects do you have going on? Like, are you moving your
Mm,
body? Are you investing your time and energy into? Doesn't even need to produce a result. It doesn't need to have productivity markers on it or like you don't need to be financially rewarded for it, but you need to have outlets and projects because
mm,
we are creative beings. We have a womb. And if you're a mother, that has been activated. Okay, so what happens when we don't do anything with that energy? Guess what it does? It wreaks havoc and creates chaos internally. So that is why I'm, again, very passionate about outlets and projects. Outlets, again,
mm,
move the body, like go find a new hobby. Projects, like create something, do something with that
mm.
beautiful creative energy of yours. And guess what ends up happening always? Oh, there's no longer really, it's an issue. Like it's not even a thing
Yeah.
anymore. Like it harmonizes the relationship because guess what a woman is doing? She's actually putting her beautiful creative life force energy to work. It wants a job.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, we make our man be like, and it's like, no, you need to have the friends, you need to have the projects, you need to have the outlets aside from your beautiful man so that when, again, you can come into relationship with him and it's clean and it's purposeful and it's just,
Mm,
so well connected because it's like you're not taking out all the other, it's not a misuse of your energy and it's not a misuse of your power. Like so many of us are misusing
mm,
our power. We're not understanding what we're even doing.
mm. Amen. That's so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like a million different directions I could go with it. But I do really want to get into, and you've already sort of brought up obviously being turned on by life, and I do want to start talking about sex as well. So I remember seeing something you posted about how you don't fuck around with mediocre sex, and that life's too short for that. And I was like, oh my God, can relate. I thought it was so brilliant. And then something else you posted the other day about like when mum is coming, her household is humming.
Yes. I was
That
like
needs to be
trying
on
to
a
put it
t-shirt.
more. I was trying to put it more eloquently, and like I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say what is on literally what I feel like is on my mind. I'm like, and I love that it rhymes. I'm like,
Yeah. It needs to be on a t-shirt. I love it so much.
it's true
So
though.
I want to know, in your words, how does the quality of our sex life impact the rest of our lives? Like you kind of touched a little bit on it before, but I would love for you to expand.
Yeah. So coming back to literally, if you think about it, when we're in that orgasmic frequency,
Mm,
it it can't not elevate the vibrational state of your home, right? It can't not go out and touch every single other area of your life when you are like in this beautiful high vibrational orgasmic frequency. And that's what I mean, like the quality of your sex life, because everybody, we can have a sex life, I'm talking about the quality of it.
mm,
Is there depth, like is there, oh my goodness, like is it ecstatic, is it rapturous? And
mm,
when we are in the, like again, it's being in the frequency of like orgasm pleasure, guess what happens? Like when you think about what it means to be in that state, how you feel, how you see, how your receptivity comes online, so many more options open up to you. There is so
mm,
much more infinite potential available. The possibilities are endless. How expansive it is for you, for your state of mind and your state of being. And guess what that does? Like that emanates and emits, again, that frequency that will naturally attract opportunities. It will naturally magnetize what is
mm,
meant for you. And so for me, I would love to see more women valuing sex and viewing it in this way, because it is magic. Like it is a tool. Like, we
mm,
talk about wanting to be a regulated mum. Well, have you prioritized sex? Like well
mm,
rested? Like have you prioritized sex? Oh my gosh, the best bloody sleeps after I've had a beautiful session of lovemaking. And also, guess what happens? It's a flow on effect into the next day because my whole entire
mm,
being, I'm stabilized. I'm like, I'm literally rooted, like
mm,
rooted. Like, think about that. I'm rooted into the core of my
mm,
being. I am moving from that place. There is much more spaciousness between me and a reaction. You don't understand?
mm,
Like, and me, like, I'm able to see my options more clearly and I'm able to make better choices because of it.
mm,
And so, like when I say when a mum is coming, the household is humming, it's because, again, you are the motherboard who is conducting energy. Like, really take notice of when you're like, oof, like,
mhm,
it ripples out and has an energetic effect on your entire household. You are literally the heart of the home. Like for me, the man is the head of the home. I am, as the woman, the mother, the heart of the home. So I'm like, this pulse is alive, right?
mm,
It's like this pulsating, beautiful hum and rhythm. Because I am, again, it's a form of leadership as well when we're
mm,
conducting energy, like we're leading, right? Like we're
mm,
creating that flow that is emanating from our being and going to work in unseen ways in our household, in our dynamic with our man, in our parenting with our children. And so, yeah, I just would love for more women to really understand the power of beautiful sacred sex and what it can actually do in terms of unlocking your highest potential, not just in your partnership, but in your parenting, in the ability to create your dreams. Like
mm,
it's powerful, powerful stuff. Like Joel and
mm,
I, again, it's like, I guess it's again coming back to that high vibrational state, and that like it's a high frequency energy system I'm running. And pleasure and orgasm, they're all in like beautifully like in that realm. Like so when I'm in a high vibrational state, or I'm running a high frequency system, I'm in the energy of creation, right? So that means, does that make sense? Like I'm not in the energy of drama, chaos, react. Like I'm in the frequency of coherence and creation. So I'm like, oof, anything is possible. Oof, I'm tapped into my potential, right? I am open, I am expanded, I'm receptive to life, and like really, really get this. Like you're in the driver's seat. We talked about like you can reimagine your life at any time. You are the co-creator of your life. Understand your feminine power, like in this way. And so again, like sex is a beautiful ally. Like it supports the fruition of our dreams. Like it supports my parenting 100% because I'm a much calmer, happier, regulated mama when you know, the sex is on point, when I'm being tended to. And we all are sexual beings. This is something that I also like have said previously, because I really had a lot of blocks around embracing that as part of my identity. I was always so like closed off and squirmish and cringe about it. Once I started doing the actual work I needed to do to really, you know, address the trauma, clear the blocks, and own who I am as a primal sexual being, oh my goodness. Like Joel and I have the wildest, most potent electric sex, like I'm here in Bali. Everything's just activated and alive. But that's because I'm like, when I'm in my primal, wild feminine essence, oh my God, I'm like, oh, I'm so turned on by myself right now. And guess what? That your man will eat that shit up. Like they freaking they want you to just let go and get out of the head and just be wild and free.
Yes.
That, like, their eyes light up. And yet we're so like insecure about a freaking tummy roll and like how we sound or what we look like. And it's like, they don't give a shit. I always say they don't give a shit if you've showered or not. I'm telling you, they are primally wired. It's a primal need, and they are wired. Like we are wired to co-create. We are wired to connect in this way. They don't give a shit. And I'm like, so once you can, again, it's all stories of it's all our own stuff. Once we can like let that go and clear that out of the way,
it's liberating.
It's so liberating. It's so liberating. And watch your sex life just, watch your whole, again, quality of sex life, quality of life just elevate and evolve.
And there's a couple things here too. Like there is that receiving as well, like allowing yourself, like you were saying, like this, allowing yourself to really go there and to receive as well. And then I love that you highlighted again the need to take responsibility. You know, I think in sex and in our, you know, within our relationships, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, they just don't do this, or I want them to do more. You know what I mean? Like there's so often it's the other, and it's not necessarily like we're not taking responsibility for like having a really fulfilling sex. Like if that's something you want, you've got to claim it. You know, you've got to take responsibility for that. And I think sometimes
that's a good place to lead. Also, like put your lead, like tell them.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's because we're so tightly wound up around this subject. Like it's still so taboo to talk about this stuff. Oh my God, that it's almost still really taboo to talk about it with the person that you're having sex with. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is kind of wild. And so it can be really hard to have conversations, you know, and I think like delivery is really important. There's lots of things that come into having conversations where it's not like you're saying, oh, you know, you're not doing this, or, you know, like you're not enough. It's not enough. It's not good.
Yes. There's a way in which you can go about it and a way in which you can say it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And all of those things may be true, you know, but also it's about taking responsibility that if that is something that you ultimately want, if you want a really fulfilling sex life, like you have to claim it. And it might mean you have to have difficult conversations. It might mean, you know, you need to prioritize. Again, it's like understanding, it comes back to the same things we were talking about with mothering, and, you know, having an understanding of like what you like. And that might take a self-exploration without a partner, you know, so many layers to it. And obviously understanding how rigid and taboo this topic still is, you know, that it's difficult to talk about. Like just being able to have conversations is so important too. Yeah.
Yeah, I fully hear you. And again, this is where communication, like not just in the bedroom, but like your ability to have honest, hard conversations with your person. Like, are you in the practice of actually doing this and creating, like, it's only going to like create even more depth of a connection through these uncomfortable conversations, through having to really bear it all and put it out there and be vulnerable. That is what creates the intimacy, that even that piece alone will transform the sex. Like your ability to communicate heart to heart, be so open and honest with each other. And again, so many, we're just not, the communication is so lacking, and it's so, we really need to, it's a big skill we need to brush up on, like individually and in our partnerships. Because again, I didn't have any role models like showing me how to communicate in healthy, authentic, I know, like loving ways. I only had either expressing from overly expressing from dysregulation, or under expressing from dysregulation. And that was it. Like, so again, like give yourself grace. Like, cool, we didn't, like, our parent loving, you know, they did the best they could, but we can, I feel like there's so many resources and tools, and we can really take ownership and like do better, like clean that up if we desire to have a well-connected, like fulfilling, like pleasure-filled relationship. Like we've got to look at all this stuff. We've got to address it. We've got to heal it. Like we've got to actively commit to what it is we say we want. And so many of us, we say we want these things, but we will not. Saying you want something and actually committing to making that happen and committing to living that day in, day out is a whole different thing. And 100%. This is, again, where we can talk about the masculine coming into play. Like this, you want to use your masculine energy, like women, please start to apply yourself and cultivate some staying power, right? Some grit. Like, let's practice being a woman of our word. Like, this is something that I get really like fired up about, because we're so flaky and we wonder why we have so much shame around inconsistency and ghosting. And it's like, because again, you're using your masculine energy and power in the wrong ways, like using it to control your man, micromanage. Like, let's use it to be a woman of our word. Like, let's use it to follow through on the thing we said we were going to do, and actually commit to the life it is we say we want. Like, use it there, please. Like, and once you start to, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Also, I think we can put so much, love, care, intention, attention into building a career or, whatever it might be. But would we not also want to pour the same, or, into the way we mother, like the way we're parenting our children? Why would we not want to pour that same love, care, and attention into our relationship? Something that we can, nurture and be in for like our whole lives.
You know why? Because it's terrifying. It's scary. It's painful.
And it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's so painful. It's scary. It's hard. Like, there is so much on the line when we do so. And yet, again, the thing we fear the most is what is going to lead us to what is it? What's the saying? On the other side of that fear is exactly what we want, what we dream of, what we desire.
Yeah. Actually, you said something in your stories just this week, just the other day, about choosing, and you were talking about it in regards to like choosing a dream and, continuing to work towards something even on the days where it's difficult. And you did, use the analogy as well, and kind of transferred it over to talking about relationships. But this is something that I've spoken with a couple of my friends who are in really long-term relationships as well. I've been together nearly 20 years, similar to us. Like, it is exactly that. Like, you have to continue to choose the relationship, the person, all of that, like, even on the days and this, in the seasons and in the times where it's hard. And that happens. Like, it gets really hard. And when we were talking about difficult conversations before, something else I wanted to say was, I can imagine, and look, sometimes a relationship won't work out. Like, there's many, many factors that go into this. But I think about how many relationships could have been revived or rejuvenated in some way or changed for the better just by choosing to have that really difficult conversation, to even begin by saying, like, I've got to have a really hard conversation. I'm probably going to mess this up. I might say the wrong thing, but I don't want to know that, like, if I do and if it, all blows up, that we might try again another day, or you know what I mean? Like, popping a little disclaimer in there as well, because we're not going to get it perfect, and it requires practice, and it requires that choosing, like, constantly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure does. I had a very uncomfortable, hard conversation with Joel like 2 days ago. And again, it's like, I love that, like, pre-framing of, like, I'm human. I'm not going to get this perfect, but you know what's better than just being honest and trying anyway, and making sure it's like, yeah, your heart is in it. And and yeah, like, there's so many so many challenges and opportunities for growth inside of a relationship, inside of like pursuing a dream. And this is a thing, it's like, we think, oh, okay, cool, like, I'm gonna have this dream, I'm gonna have it. It's like, you have to, if you want the quality of your relationship and the quality of your life to be fulfilling, so deeply soul satisfying, rapturous, then you've got to understand that all of these things are part and parcel with that. Like, it's not, a beautiful life isn't void of challenges, isn't void of the hardship, but like, it's the fact that you've got to decide to stay true to your commitment to, like, if you want to. I mean, this isn't for everybody. Like, some people shouldn't be together. Like, there's some, but like, choosing your person, you've got to actively, willingly choose them every single day, every single bloody day.
Yep.
And choose to have the hard conversations, and choose to do the hard things, right? Choose, like, we need some resilience about us, ladies. Like, we need some grit.
Absolutely.
We need some staying power. We need some discipline. And so, like, again, I friggin' love masculine energy. Like, I love harnessing that within me. But the choosing is, again, it's an act of commitment again and again and again and again.
And it's so enriching and rewarding when you do. I mean, I don't, I've been with Jonty so long, I don't have anything to compare it to, but I have to say that, like, I would take where we are now over a honeymoon period any day of the week.
100%.
Yeah.
Preach. I love that so much. Our relationship is what it is, and it's better than it ever has been, because we have been in the freaking trenches together. It's not because, oh man, like, it makes it, like you said, even more enriching, even more rewarding, because we have been through that struggle, like, oh my gosh, the pain, the hardship, the challenge. And we've allowed it to make us better, like, for it.
Yeah.
Like, I am like, it does keep getting better and better. And this is what I want, especially women in long-term relationships, to understand, is that it can absolutely keep getting even better than what you could have ever anticipated. And even better than the honeymoon phase. Like, I honestly, like, the level of safety, the love, the loyalty that I feel, like, He knows me inside and out because I let him in. I let him see me. He knows how to like, and this is the thing. It's like, oh, well, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. It's like, but have you let him see you truly? Have you let him hold you
Yes.
truly? Have you let him in for him to even pick up on that or even know who you are or know what your needs are or be able to even attune to that? Or do you just have walls and you're expecting him to mind read and you're expecting him to, you know what I mean? Like, I always say, don't make them guess. And again, there's a difference between like having to like micromanage and control. And there's a way of going about it. Please don't make them guess and then set them up for failure and then have them the same way in which we feel too much is the same way in which our men feel never enough. Like, and they feel so alone. They feel so alone and it breaks my heart. It actually does. Like,
yes.
And like again,
and look, I have boys, so this is really important for me as well because I want them to grow up in a household where, they have the example of a really healthy relationship and one where their dad has a say and is the leader of the home and, you know,
and
all those
respected
things.
as such. Yeah.
Respect. Exactly.
It's the respect piece.
Yes. And, you know, one of my last questions for you was whether you would add on anything, because we've already spoken about several things that would, I think, cultivate a lasting connection with someone, if there was anything else you were going to add on. But I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, respect is so important.
It's everything. It's everything to a man. It's everything to a man.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
How little we give it. Like, if you were to get really honest, I didn't respect my man. Like, I didn't respect his instinct. I didn't respect his opinion. I didn't respect what he had to. Now I'm like, like I listen, like I pay attention, like I value him. And again, that's a form of showing respect. Like, I realized how little I actually showed my man respect day to day, and it almost broke us. Like, Joel, again, like same, we've been together for again, married for almost 10 years, but together for longer than that. I think even 15. I met him when I was 15.
Wow.
And we were really at a breaking point. I remember this one specific time, and I realized how beaten down he felt and just unseen. And I just had very little respect for him. Like, if I was to get really honest, and it was breaking him, like I said, diminishing his spirit, like you could see it. And again, when I really owned that and repaired that, everything changed. Like, you see them like step up, you see them light up, and it's like, it's like that like something is, and it's not little because it's big, but like just the mutual respect piece and the ways in which you demonstrate that. Because you can say, oh yeah, I respect my husband, like of course I do. It's like, yeah, but how are you demonstrating that, and how are you like living that every day? Like, how are you showing them that every single day? And like I said, is it like
Yeah. It goes back to also what I was saying about, like, you know, years ago when if I would go somewhere, I'd have to I felt like I had to have every single thing, all the ducks lined in a row so that I could even leave the house. And what's that doing? That's essentially me saying, you don't have this.
Exactly.
Like, you need all the help you can get, you know? And it's little micro things like that add up to the bigger picture of them feeling like they aren't enough. And I've even had Jonty say those exact words to me in the past. I can so relate to what you're saying as well.
Saying, and I don't trust you to sort, like, I don't, it's, and again, it's the micro moments, like it's those micro choices they're communicating all the time, like whether you realize it or not, like it's telling them something, like it's communicating a message constantly. And so it's like, okay, through my choices, what's the message I want to communicate day in, day out? Through my choices, right? Same with the children. Like, you're constantly communicating a message to them through your choices. So what's that message going to be? What do you want it to be? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, and speaking of that too, like, we're so mindful of the way that we speak to our children, and I think less so the way we speak to our partner, even though our children hear that, you know what I mean? So it's like we just, need to be doing it across the board. Yeah. I've absolutely loved this conversation.
Oh, yay.
Is there anything else you'd add? I feel like we kind of covered all of the things when it comes to cultivating a lasting connection. This is particularly like important, I think, for me, just given, you know, it's funny because it seems like a rarer thing these days for people to like be in relationship for a really long time. And so I think, you know, and knowing, like you were saying, you met him at 15, like I was 19, like absolute baby, and how much we change and grow over the course of our lives. And so do they. Like I think we often think men don't, but they do.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and so you're like continuously meeting each other, you know, and where you're at and who you are. And so we need to obviously understand that about ourselves so that we can be like, hey, this is, you know, this is me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is there anything else that you would add?
Just that I would love for, I just want women to love who they are, like as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. Like really think about that. Do you love who you are as a woman, as a wife, as a mama? I just would love to see more of that in the world. And I guess that's why I feel at my soul work to really support and serve women in this way, because, oh my goodness, how different the world would be if we all lived like that. Like how, radiant and magnetic and just, yeah, in harmony with not just ourselves, but with each other. I would really love to see a world in which we all frothed and loved who we were as women, who we were as mothers, who we were as wives.
Well, I'm so glad
that's
you're
my
doing
last
that
little message. I don't know. I just keep saying,
No, I love that. I got all like goosey listening because I think that is one major thing that has landed for me this year. And what I was going to say is that I'm so glad that you did bring that up, because that is something that I see you doing. Like I really see you. I want to say that. And I've now firsthand witnessed you do that for me in our photo shoot, because the experience itself, and then like obviously the after effects of seeing the imagery as well, like I fell in love with myself all over again.
Oh, yay. I think that's, the final message is taking pleasure in what it means to be you. That's it. I'm like, I want more women in this world to take pleasure in what it means to be them. Like, oof.
Yes. Amen. I did have one little final question, which I'm planning on asking everybody that comes on this season, and that is, what are you finding the most pleasure in at the moment?
Okay, I'm going to say this publicly for the first time. I am taking pleasure in imagining the expansion of my family and the new chapter that is on the horizon for my family and I to bring another life through into this world. And it will be my son. It's absolutely my son coming through. But I honestly, like privately, day to day, and again, I haven't spoken this out loud much outside of, you know, inner circle, but I am taking so much pleasure in imagining the evolution of my family through like expanding it and like that new dynamic and like just dreaming that dream. Like I'm taking pleasure in dreaming that dream. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so special. Thank you for sharing that. How exciting.
Oh, my pleasure. I know.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I've been wanting to have this particular conversation with you. I think it's so important. And there was, no one else that I wanted to have this one with. So thank you so much for saying yes and coming on and sharing all your wisdom and juice and passion. Like I can genuinely feel it when you talk. And yes, we need the playlist. We need the Legacy League playlist.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure thing.
We need it.
Thank you for having me. I love you, beautiful woman. And thank you for your work in the world and the way in which you show up. You are truly inspiring and empowering so many women in your sphere. And it's a privilege and a pleasure to be a part of it.
Thank you. I'm receiving that. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Nourished Woman. I hope something in this conversation resonated with you, and if so, please share it with a friend. You can hit follow or write a review or simply share on social media. It would be amazing. Thank you so much again for listening. Until next time, take care of yourself.